And the road to glory, boys, well, it becomes a little bit narrower and only 4 teams remain and 4 teams can win it.
Can't wait, boys. Biggest prelim final weekend in history. 95,000 pluses. It's going to be great to see. And 2 arch-rival games this century, isn't it, really? So obviously Collingwood, Brisbane with the grand final history, and Hawthorn, Geelong dates back to the 89 grand final. So can't wait for it.
Last 3 grand finalists. Play off again for the chance to go into another grand final. I think you're right. I think if you were to... people always talk about, Hawthorn, Essendon and the great rivalries of the 80s and 90s. I think in terms of modern-day rivalries that I've been involved in and the Hawthorn and Geelong Football Club has been involved in, that right there is the one that comes to mind.
We've all been to prelim finals, and it's the purest weekend of footy, as you mentioned, Brownie. 95,000 that get through the gate on Friday and Saturday afternoon. But what are your memories from prelim final, Geordie? Have you got a favourite?
Do I have a... Well, dare I say, Geelong v Hawthorn.
Oh, right.
It's probably because of the heartache that we'd suffered from 2008 right up until that final. I think we were 21 or 22 points down at 3/4 time. Some wives had already left the ground to go home because they couldn't stand to watch Geelong win another game, Sarah Ruffett, and then it was just a magical last quarter. So that was probably the one that sticks out.
Brownie, for you?
Sydney, I think going the long way round, 2003 when Bucks got a hold of us in the qualifying final. We had to go a long way home, 80,000 people at Olympic Stadium, and we knocked off the Swans. So that was a pretty amazing win.
Yeah, well, I can't say that was a good one. 02 was my first prelim. I was in my 8th year in the competition. We were able to beat the Crows to get into our first grand final. So that was absolutely packed MCG. Which, as you said, it's a pure weekend because mostly it's the clubs that are in the games that actually get the lion's share of the tickets. Grand final gets spread a little bit, but the loudest crowd I ever played in front of was a prelim.
Yeah, you'll never forget your first one. No, first one, 2017.
Yeah.
You never ever...
Who'd you play?
We played the Giants to get into the grand final in 2017. And a side that will be there prelim final, they were there last year, Brownie, of course, is your team, the Brisbane Lions. The Q Clash, the 3rd version for this year, was 1-1 leading into the weekend.
Yeah.
But the bigger brother, they flexed their muscle again and came out big winners. Yeah,
it's a good effort in it. 4 prelims in a row, so they've been a resilient team, 7 final series in a row. Funny games this year. So round 8, Brisbane absolutely smashed them at stoppage. Round 20, Gold Coast returned serve and smashed them at stoppage, and then back up to the Gabba, and Brisbane cleaned them up around stoppage or contest and pressure. Now, it wasn't necessarily big stoppage numbers from Brisbane, but look at that.
Such a big flip.
84 points. Now, even if you ask some of the Gold Coast Suns coaches, they realise that Brisbane are a long way below their best in that round 20 game. But 84 points, that is an absolute hammering. 7 goals from centre bounce. Now, the Lions turned that around, limited them to 8 points on the weekend. So that was fantastic. And it was on the back of a greater determination from their mids. They took great pride in their performance, and obviously they were really disappointed, bitterly disappointed in their performance, and they returned serve. The pressure was fantastic, Bucks, and they came and they meant business. Yeah, well, Josh Dunkley was the one that really had the job on Matty Rowell, and to know that you need to look after a player like that on the opposition is one thing. Yeah. Then to be able to have the strategy, but then the personnel to be able to execute it. And Josh Dunkley was absolutely huge in that performance. 18 tackles and just... It was amazing, yeah. I know we've had a lot of superlatives about this man and
that's astronomical, though. 18 tackles, and he really... You saw the difference between stoppage between round 20 and this game, and that was off the back of Rowell and Anderson. Yeah. He had his pants pulled down on that Rowell last time. He did, and he was disappointed. I spoke to him post-game, and I think he might have copped, or all their midfield might have copped a bit of needling from the coach. So I don't think Chris Fagan spent a lot of time on the Geelong loss the week before.
Tell us more.
I think a fair bit of the vision may have come from that round 20 game. And if you actually look at Josh Dunkley, he changed some things. He was... I think he just stuck to Rowell. He came with a purpose. Now, in this game, he just let Rowell have a clean run of the ball, which he hadn't allowed in the past. And this is the round 20 game. Yeah, Rowell was able to get there, dominate, 37 disposals, 15 clearances. I think Dunks was stung by that, and, so he came with the purpose, and he just made sure that every time Rowell touched the ball, and Rowell didn't have a shocker by any means, but he made sure that every time Rowell got the ball, he was going to be attacked and harassed and physically confronted.
But this wasn't a game that was played inside a lot. There were obviously clearances, but then the ball was out in the open quite a bit. Both teams are about 175 pressure rating. So Dunkley's performance to be able to stick 18 tackles in the game that was largely in transition Well, that just elevates that performance even further in my mind.
And just look at this graphic. This points to the mindset of Dunkley going in and the coaches. So look at that. The number on the left is that round 20 game. Like, that is an absolute hammering. So obviously Dunks took that personally. But he only played on the one on the left, he only played on him for 44 minutes. Now, that's not good enough. The application to that role wasn't constant enough. 90 minutes in the semi-final on the weekend. So Dunks was going out there, no matter what, he was going to be beside Rowell. If they come to the bench, they went to the bench together. So he made it his purpose to be with him the whole night.
You know him well. Is he that type of player, Josh Dunkley, that would have put his hand up and said, I want the job?
Monday.
After being beaten.
Monday he did. He went in there and said, nah, I've got to make amends for what I did in round 20. And that's exactly what he did.
How good is that?
Chris Fagan's not going to say no to him.
As a coach, you love that. You love it when your leaders come, because apparently Zorko did the same thing with Miller.
What did you see live? I mean, just from watching on TV, Gold Coast did look flat.
Yeah, I thought,
in terms of their energy and the big trip to Perth, how much do you think that would have... You give Brisbane credit, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
The first final for the Gold Coast, Fremantle, the trip back, they looked like they lacked energy.
That's right, and the way Fremantle moved the ball, a lot different to what Brisbane moved the ball. Brisbane really challenged them early. Obviously, the pressure was outstanding as well, but the way Brisbane moved the ball, so challenged them defensively. So Damien Hardwick's not going to admit it publicly, but they certainly... Brisbane tested them early, and then they faded away energy-wise, and they looked like a side that was at the end of their campaign, albeit a really good campaign, no question about it. But to me, that's what it looked like.
Well, we know Lachie Neale at the moment, and he gave a little glimmer of hope that if they are to make the grand final, he might be available. But a man that has done it on the big stage, he's been the best player in a grand final with the Norm Smith, Will Ashcroft. Well, he nearly had the most complete game of his career on the weekend, Geordie.
I just wonder his attitude. You know, a lot gets spoken about in terms of McCluggage, a lot obviously gets spoken about in terms of Lachie Neale. I just wonder whether you sit back and he looks like a pretty brash sort of kid. You sit back and go, hey, I've won a Norm Smith medalist, I'm a proven finals player already. Neale goes out, third year, and I just love his attitude.
You reckon it was a little reminder, you reckon?
I reckon, and you can only really do that with your actions. There's no point telling everyone how good your previous finals experience has been. You've got to go out and perform, and I think he did that on the weekend. And the thing that stood out to me was he's clearly got a good inside game. His disposal by hand, I think, is as good as anyone in the competition, how quick he does it and his vision. But what I loved was his spread from contest. And I think time after time on the weekend, he just has really good balance. So we talk about their ball movement from half-back, Brisbane, and on the weekend it was really on show. So you just see here the ability to challenge forward. So they've won the ball. So right now you can get on your bike and charge forward, blindside your direct opponent and really hammer down and add to that scoring ability. Once again, so Davies had a great game last week, but that was a poor contest decision to go over and not impact. Ashcroft, once again, great contested ball player, great inside player, but he realises when to go in and when to go forward. And the thing that I think is standing out, he's got gears to go to in terms of the way that he spreads. So when Brisbane score 8 goals, 5 from defensive half, he has 11 score involvements. He's involved on offence. His vision is elite. So I just think it was a timely reminder that, hey, we might have lost a dual Brownlow medalist and an All-Australian player, A-grade player, but don't sleep on me.
Well, they've had guys step up when Neale hasn't played. Zach Bailey's another one who came up last time, I think, in that cutthroat game versus Fremantle Brownie three weeks ago in the back end of the home and away season. And he went to the midfield and stepped up as well. But no Joe Danaher. It's been the hole. It's been the energiser they've been looking for. And it's a cast of a few that have actually stepped up that really set the level for the pressure and the intensity.
Yeah, it's a good point. Their energisers are really important to their team because, like you said, they've had a bit of makeshift, certainly contest head of the ball, but they're energising their team. Bailey, Lohman, Wilmot, Rayner especially. They kicked 7 goals between them. Wilmot had 26 disposals, but I think them, as a coach, Bucks, you rely on that. You know, this time of the year, you're carrying a few injuries. You need these guys.
Yeah, well, I thought Lohman in particular was up and about. You can see him pre-match, and he drew the attention with the haircut, and obviously you're on the hook for a haircut possibly after a Brisbane success.
Yeah.
But I thought, but you're right about this, and they went into this. They went in this game with everyone believing that maybe they had one punch left in them. But they've come out of that game, the way they played, they were top of the ground and they were running. I mean, they're going to be a handful against any opposition. It's going to be a cracking game against
that
Collingwood.
opposition will be against Collingwood on Saturday afternoon in the 5 p.m. slot. Just a quick one on Collingwood before we get on to the Gold Coast. Jeremy Howe looks like he'll be fit to play. We think he's a walk-up start for them. Bobby Hill's the intriguing one. Has to put together 2 weeks of really good training. We haven't cited him much over the back part of the season. Just a quick yes or no, do you pick Bobby Hill if he's fit to play and he's done everything in his power in the last 2 weeks?
It's a no from me. Culture, for me, overrides talent.
Brownie? No. Bucks?
I think when push comes to shove and you consider your very best sub, and that's about as far as you can go because he's not ready to play a full game of footy, I think that'll be the question. You know, whether they think that Bobby Hill can give them something. How's he played as a sub before, first and foremost? If he hasn't been in that position where you've had to sit on the pine for 2.5, 3 quarters, has he gone on and switched it on? I think that would be part of the consideration.
So you don't take into account the last 2 months, his behaviour?
That would be
1 quarter since.
That would be assuming that he's put a couple of weeks together, and we don't know.
So do you pick him as sub?
No is probably the answer, but you'd be tempted to.